Welcome back to The Heat. A major offensive is underway by Iraqi forces to recapture the city of Fallujah from ISIL fighters. Joining us now in our Washington, D.C. studio is Abbas Kadhim. He's a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Institute at Johns Hopkins University. From Erbil, we're joined by Hiwa Osman. He's an Iraqi Kurdish journalist and commentator. Also with us is Brigadier General Ismael Alsodani. He served in the Iraqi army for nearly 30 years before retiring in 2011. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Ismail, let me start with you. You're a former military man. You were a brigadier general in the Iraqi army. You served as defense attaché here in Washington. What is your assessment of the battle right now in Fallujah?
Well, the battle has started on May 22nd. The components of the Iraqi forces are Iraqi army, the elite counter-terrorism forces, and the federal police, the local police from Fallujah itself, tribal fighters who has been trained under United States contingency, and as well as the popular mobilization forces who has been prepared by the Iraqi government to participate in this battle. The battle itself has been divided into several phases, in fact, in order to ensure the maximum use of the resources available to the commander, as well as to minimize the losses that may take place or may occur during the operation on the civilians as well as on the our troops or the Iraqi troops. The objective of the mission or the operation is to eradicate, recapture Fallujah and eradicate the presence of ISIS elements in the city. So far, the ongoing operation has already achieved is getting closer to the city and control the city from 36 degrees. Iraq has captured Karma town. They have the west. They have captured al-rahim in the south. They have recaptured as well the Saqlawiyya and multiple bridges on the Euphrates River.
Okay, let me go to Hiwa Osman in Erbil. Hiwa, Fallujah is a city which is very close to Baghdad. It fell to Islamic State in 2014. Why has it taken so long for the government in Baghdad to make these kinds of efforts to recapture that city?
Well, there are various military and security considerations for attacking Fallujah. The general perception about Fallujah is that there will be fierce and heavy fighting in Fallujah. The fear that there will be a bloodbath in the city and many civilian casualties seems to have been what stopped the Iraqi government from attacking, so Iraqi and American and the Americans to make the decision on the start. But the key thing here is, in the absence of a political settlement of the disputes between Iraqis, between Shia and Sunni in Iraq, I think it will be very difficult to just look at the conflict with ISIS from a pure military and security one. There's the portfolio or the issue of national reconciliation that has led to mistrust between the various components of the Iraqi society. The failure of national reconciliation has led to conditions that allowed for the likes of ISIS to emerge, and eradicating them through military operation alone will not be enough. The thinking has to be done about the day after ISIS in these areas, and I do not see or hear anything from the government so far about the political deal on the day after ISIS or the day after liberating these areas after ISIS. There isn't a political package for those who are under ISIS today for the day after.
Abbas, Hiwa raises an important point there, and that is the lack of a political solution right now to the differences that exist between the Shias and the Sunnis, and also looking at the timing of this attempt to retake Fallujah. There's a very respected analyst at Chatham House in London, head of the Middle East program, Lina Khatib, who says that the timing, and I'm quoting here, the timing of the Fallujah initiative is very much politically motivated. Abadi, that's the Prime Minister, Haider al-Abadi, has not yet delivered politically, so in a way he's seeking stability through military engagement with ISIL.
Well, of course, the timing is always problematic whenever, I mean, this is not just unique to Iraq. Even here in the United States, every time there is a military operation, people question the timing because the political and the military always coincide, and it's very hard to really judge the intentions. But at the end of the day, I think that there as much skepticism as there about the timing and about why and the motivations, basically. There are also calls for a long time now that Fallujah is overdue, and it is very hard. I think, if anything, the Iraqi government took too long to take the initiative and make a final assault on ISIS and Fallujah, because you need to extend your sovereignty over the areas close to the capital before you think and you plan to take places as far away as Mosul, which is manifold, the distance between the Mosul and Baghdad as compared with Fallujah. So the timing, you can always find problems with the timing, with the motivations, but at the final assessment, the Iraqi government is doing the right thing by not allowing this city to be under ISIS for any longer, and also strategically, it is the right move before going to Mosul.
Right, Ismail, the Iraqi government may believe that it's doing the right thing, but is this the right strategy? Because even Iraq's closest allies here in the Pentagon, there was a Pentagon spokesman who said last month that there is no military reason to retake Fallujah. It brings no tactical advantage to the ultimate aim of taking Mosul. Well,
everybody has his own assessment on this situation. In my perspective as a military, I think that Fallujah should have been a top priority and retaken from ISIS even before Tikrit, because it is 40 miles away from the center of gravity, Baghdad. It's north of Karbala, 100 kilometers, south of Samarra, 100 kilometers, 25 miles away from Ramadi. Had Iraqi government took the initiative and retaken Fallujah earlier, we wouldn't have seen Ramadi to fall down to ISIS. This is really a very significant point, because we have lost lots of resources, manpower, time in retaking Ramadi in the same time. However, things are happening now, and the strategy is taking Fallujah in the concentration. And I think this is a pure advantage for the Iraqi security forces when they will take Fallujah. The western corridor, all the way to the border, the western border with Syria, with Jordan, will be cleared. And there will be, the pressure will on ISIS from the west, and the southern west, Mosul, will be encircled ISIS and Mosul.
Oh, let me ask you this. There may be these differences being expressed by the Pentagon on strategy, but is the Iraqi army getting military support from the United States in this battle?
Of course. You know, Iraq army could not move forward without the crucial support of the United States. Okay. And I think this is Iraq as a part of the international coalition to counter ISIS, which has been founded, I think, September 2014. Right. And the crucial support is the aerial support, which Iraq is really in need for it. The logistic, equipping the troops. I give you one example. Just recently, I have received a report from the CTF. They have received, you know, a mines clearing a system, which is Canadian. We call it MICIC. And this is very crucial to clear the mines or the booby traps that is already rigging on the countless number of in the city of Fallujah. All right. There is intelligence support as well. There is a training, advisory, and this is really so important for the operation to. Yes, it is a national operation, but it is framed with international support, and this is legalize the operation more and more.
Okay, let me here. We talk about military strategy here and what. You know, forces on the ground are doing, but what about the situation inside Fallujah? I mean, what is the humanitarian situation inside there? Because we're getting reports that Islamic State is using civilians as human shields?
Well, talking to the humanitarian workers and aid workers who have been in the areas or receiving the people from Fallujah and moved into the liberated areas from IS, the humanitarian situation is quite catastrophic, to be honest. There seems to be, ISIS has used a lot of the civilians, first as human shields and second as pressure points for the Iraqi army and the others not to enter. The other aspect of this was using the local Sunni population in order to justify it or turn it into a Shia-Sunni war, and this is what ISIS has been trying to do from the start, to turn this into a Shia-Sunni war, a Kurd-Arab war, a Christian versus Muslim war, and that's why, as a result of all of these attempts by ISIS, the need grows more and more for a political package for the day after ISIS, so that the people who are under ISIS are also encouraged to take up arms or to resist the presence of ISIS in their areas. In terms of humanitarian situation, it is quite bad, and I don't think the Iraqi government is as ready as it is militarily to take on Fallujah. It is not as ready to take these refugees or the extra people who are fleeing the areas of the conflict. There doesn't seem to be the infrastructure for them, and hence international help will be very much needed, I think, in the coming weeks or months if the battle is to continue to take Mosul or other areas from ISIS.
Right. Abbas, when Hiwa talks about the need for a political solution, is this Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi trying to negotiate from a position of strength, saying we'll clear the battlefield first, then we'll talk diplomacy?
Well, this is a sensible thing to do, but I believe that the negotiation in Iraq is much more complex than this. The Prime Minister does not have as many constitutional powers to impose any kind of solutions, and even his negotiation. The Prime Minister's office is politically weak by design, and that is a problem. Also, to add to that, is that right now there aren't any negotiation partners you can engage with. There are those who are in the Council of Ministers, and there is not much negotiation to do with. They are on board, but the problem is that there are people who are against the government as such. And how are you going to negotiate with them? Because their entire demand is to dismantle everything that happened after 2003, and then you go back and rebuild on different setting, and that's rejected by the Iraqis and also by the international community. And to add to this also, we have to remember that the Iraqi government is, in addition to all of what I said, is there is a lot of corruption, incompetence in the government, and that hindered the concept of the reconciliation. Iraqis.
So you don't sound very optimistic that there's going to be some kind of a negotiated solution.
No, I think he was correct when he said there isn't much of a coherent plan for what happens after.
Right.
That is the negotiation, the reconciliation phase. That is the rehabilitation of these areas. Iraqis are not equipped and they are not competent enough to do the reconciliation. They have failed in all of their reconciliation efforts because their entire concept of reconciliation is reconciliation among politicians and parties rather than communal reconciliation. And Iraqi problems are not going to be saved or solved by adding one more ministry to another corrupt politician. Right. It is really, you need to go deeper than that, and you need to do it in a scientific way, take cues from the successful reconciliation cases that happened around the world, and there are so many good examples, and frame it in an Iraqi way to do it. The Iraqi government has not shown any willingness to do this yet, and they have not sought help.
Okay, gentlemen, that's where we have to leave it. Thanks.